Blurred boundaries. The blurred boundary situation can be one of life's greatest challenges, can be one of the greatest problems, but it can also be intensely fulfilling if the blurring is allowed to happen in the right way. So many things can cause us to be confused about where we leave off and another person begins, and other people can have the same confusion about us. The most dramatic example of blurred boundaries occurs when someone lights up an eros as all attractive. It is of the nature of eros to want to blur boundaries with the beloved. Eros seeks merger, and since it reaches toward the beloved with the will toward pleasure and fulfillment, a very strong will for that, it inevitably confuses and merges what it needs or wants with presumptions about the beloved's needs or wants. This leads to a violation in thought and or action of the prime directive of interpersonal relations. Recognize and respect that other persons are free-willed autonomous entities non-identical to our projections onto them. The boundary between where our psyche and conditioned perceptions leave off and where the free willed autonomous entity begins easily becomes blurred. The image or fantasy we have of the other has such a powerful existence in our psyche that we naturally assume that this inner version of the other corresponds to the actual other. The road to hell is paved with such assumptions. It is crucial to respect the otherness of others. They are like another world, another dimension, and despite whatever proximity they have to our world dimension, there are so many unknown aspects. It is a lifetime struggle to begin to know ourselves. How easily and falsely do we presume to know others and merge our agenda and projections with their veiled identity? If you're using this oracle, you're probably trying to learn more about yourself. I'm trying to learn more about myself, and I'm 66 years old. There's the age right there. Um, and I will be working on that till I take my last breath, and very likely past that event horizon. So, and I've spent 24/7, 365 with myself. I think, the world's leading expert on me because of that. But when it comes to know the other, even if you've been friends or partners for a long time, think of the far smaller percentage of time that they've existed that you've actually spent in their company. Like, you don't even know what, even if they were sleeping next to you in bed, now they're off in the dream time in another dimension. And unless you're having a mutual dream, you don't know what's going on there. So, and yet we are so sure that we know what's going on inside other people. So, this is sometimes also called theory of mind, when it takes a certain level of development and a certain level of a functioning psyche to know, to recognize that others have their own independent thoughts, feelings, perceptions, and qualias, meaning their inner perception, gestalt inner perception. There are many classic versions of the blurred boundary situation. In the case of romantic infatuation, we may project our soul onto the other person and feel this eternal recurrent sense that they are destined to be with us. See links below for more clarification of this classic and dangerous form of projection. Other cases of merged boundaries happen because the other has a resemblance or resonance to past relationships that we project onto them. Maybe the other has an age or typological resemblance to mom or dad, and we experience a transference of all the baggage of that relationship onto them. And by the way, so I'm not exclusively talking about romantic relationships. I use them because they're often the most dramatic to illustrate. But this blurred boundary thing can be happening with a father figure or something that you don't want a romantic relationship with, but you think is like the father you never had, or think resentfully they're like the father you did have who didn't treat you fairly, or whatever. Maybe the other resembles the boy or girl who stole away our boyfriend or girlfriend in high school, and we resent his or her attractiveness. Or they resemble the boyfriend girlfriend we wish we had in high school, and feel she has reappeared to make amends for our past deprivation, etc. These are merely examples of the of problematic blurred boundaries. Get rid of this frizz. Okay. Parent-child relations are classically blurred, and parents typically confuse what they want their child to be with the free-willed, autonomous entity that incarnated through their bodies but has their own developmental track, so often fantastically different than what parents expected. Each of us has already gone through so many versions of the blurred boundary situation. If you have experienced the unpleasantness of someone else's blurred boundaries leaking onto you, be vigilant about not blurring your boundaries and leaking onto someone else. The golden rule is to respect the boundaries of others as you would have your own boundaries respected. And if this card seems relevant, please follow up with the links to other cards and videos that are extremely related and will develop these themes much more.